What's going on, guys? My name is Paul Ensling. Welcome to the first episode of the You Love a Day podcast. Before we get into it, I did want to give you a little bit of context about this podcast, about the name of it, what we're going to get into in the first episode. I had a good friend on, Greg Jones. We met in Sydney, Australia while being at Bible school at Hillsong Leadership there. Regarding the name, You Love a Day is kind of a funny phrase that I caught in Australia while working at a barbershop there. My boss would always say that whenever we would have someone in who was just a bit off the rails or would tell funny stories or was super passionate about something, my boss would always just throw at him, "Oh, you love it, eh?" So it was kind of a phrase to mess with someone, make fun of it, but in a sense also to show them, hey, you really love what you're talking about. And I think that's kind of, to me now, the deeper meaning of it. Whenever I hear someone talk about something that they're passionate about, it not to disregard them at all, but to actually say, hey, you really love that, eh? Like, keep talking, because I find it inspiring listening to people who have a passion about something, who really love what they're doing. And therefore I do think that we all can learn from that. And that is, in a sense, also a goal of this podcast, to bring people on who are passionate about something, who truly love something, and that is something that I believe we can all learn from. So that's where the name You Love a Day comes from. In the conversation I had with Greg, I still wasn't sure how to call this whole project. We had a couple of names thrown around, so you'll hear that in the conversation too. I just want to clarify for you guys to not be confused. The conversation Greg and I recorded was about 2 months ago, so some of the things we did cover are not necessarily up to date as of right now. We talked, as I said, about our time in Sydney, Australia at Hillsong Leadership College and at Hillsong Church. Some of you might know about all the stuff that went on there. In the conversation, I said that I'm still going to Hillsong as of right now. 2 or 3 months after that is not the case anymore. I fully left Hillsong behind and am now part of a different church. But just to clarify that, we also covered a bunch about how to keep a strong, resilient mindset during hard times, because that is something that I've been seeing in Greg, learning from Greg, because the time he had here in Germany wasn't the easiest. He went through a couple of struggles regarding visa situations and all that stuff, but stay tuned for that. Listen to that. I think we can all learn from him how to stay hopeful and keeping a resilient mindset. Another thing we talked about, I already mentioned Hillsong College, Hillsong Church, staying resilient. We did also talk about what the goal of this podcast is, what I want to achieve with it, and what the whole purpose is behind that. So also stick around for that, as I think that will give a lot of us more context and clarity around what this all is about. And I hope you guys enjoy. Have fun listening to the conversation and be as brutal and honest as possible with the feedback. I kind of see this as a pilot run, so throw all the feedback at me. I want to get better at this. I want to do this for real. So let me know. Have fun with the first episode, and I'll see you guys. Anyways, welcome to this new episode of... we don't know what we call this yet, or what I will call this yet.
Yeah, I don't know what you call it.
This is the third time we are recording this. The first time it was actually a good combo.
It was great.
It was a great combo. We just didn't have the setup yet, the mics, the lighting, and everything. It looked trash. It sounded trash, but the combo was great. So I don't know if I will ever put that out there. Probably not. But I did want to start with this. In the last conversation, by the way, I'm Paul Ensling.
I'm
the
Greg
host,
Jones.
Greg Jones. And in the last conversation, I asked you what gets you up in the morning. Do you remember what you were saying to that?
What gets me up in the morning?
Yeah.
I think at that time too, this is now 3-4 weeks ago, I'd probably said the hope that today is going to be better than yesterday.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and I really like that answer. And I was just thinking about this earlier when I was preparing for this. I was like, the hope that today is going to be better than tomorrow. And then I was thinking about all the ups and downs you were going through this year, last year, and
what I noticed, or what I really admire about you, or what I came to realize, is that you are a resilient mother.
I appreciate that.
like the things you were going through, moving here, doing long distance with Julie, not having a visa, having to leave, doing long distance again, then not finding any work, and all these things. Just, I don't know what I would have been done, like, or what I've been doing if I was in your shoes, in your situation. So coming to that and saying that really stuck out to me. The hope that today is going to be better than tomorrow is really profound, to be honest. And I just want to touch on that a bit. Where did you get that mindset from? What does that look like in your day today? How do you try to make today better than yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I think, you know, sometimes when you say something and it's like it's a deeper part of you speaking out loud that you've like haven't fully reflected on. I think that mindset kind of came in the last year and a half, 2 years, just having to be resilient, and like, I never know what's around the corner. That's something that I realized, like, no matter what you believe in, no matter what you do, life can happen to anybody. Okay. Life will have its way with anybody. And so what gets me up in the morning, even in the face of life or situations, is genuinely like, okay, like, I've hit rock bottom so many times.
Yeah, and for the audience to give some context, like maybe you can even touch on all the ups and downs you have been going through over the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
Just give some examples.
Yeah, so like for context, almost 2 years ago now, I moved with my girlfriend Julie, from Australia. Yeah, and we moved here because we were picking a new city for the both of us. So she didn't want to move to America. I'm American. She's half Norwegian, half French. She didn't want to move back to Norway fully. Okay. I didn't want to move to Norway. Yeah. Like there was no chance in hell. I didn't know Norway was really a country, which I know is dumb, but I know Americans, world geography, but I didn't know that Norway was like, I didn't know what it was like. Okay. So I knew I didn't want to go there, and she was scared of guns in America. So she didn't want to move to America. No, I'm kidding. Amongst other things. So we basically chose Berlin as
from Sydney, which is where we met. From Sydney,
yeah. So we were living in Sydney, and we had picked a few places in Europe. Each separately picked some places.
Really? Yeah, interesting.
And Berlin,
I never asked you how you guys came to end up here.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that as well. Yeah. So we both knew that I wanted to move to Europe prior to meeting my girlfriend. Okay. So that's a good thing. You know, like, I didn't move across the world for her. I moved to Europe because I wanted to. Like, and I had already had that desire starting to stir in my heart before I met her. Okay. Then I meet a European girl. Hey, look, like, it's coming together. For the European. It's good. Dude, a European visa would be nice. But so we picked some cities, each of us individually. Yeah. She picked some cities, and Berlin.
What other cities were on the list?
I originally, Copenhagen was up there for me.
Oh, so that's Denmark, right?
Yeah, that's Denmark. I knew I was thinking about potentially moving to Sweden. Was another option for me. For her, it was Norway. She didn't want to move to Sweden. I think she had said Berlin. Okay. And I think she might have said the UK. I don't remember exactly.
Interesting. She didn't mention France or anything, no?
I think she might have said France as well, because that's where her family's from. Yeah. And Berlin wasn't fully on my list. Like, it was number 3. Yeah. Because I knew it was a big city and I knew they spoke English. And then we naturally got connected with some people here. And it just felt like the doors were opening. Yeah. And so we left Australia. And so this is where I get into like the hardships, right? So move here, and one of the things I think that we never really experienced in Australia was a hard time finding an apartment. It was very easy to find an apartment in college. And outside of college. Like, once we looked for an apartment outside of college, we basically got one. And so
instantly, pretty much.
Pretty much instantly.
You just put up a Facebook post or you apply,
and you get it instantly. Yeah. And so
I mentioned college. We went to Hillsong College.
We did go to Hillsong Bible College.
Sydney. That's where we met.
R.I.P. Hillsong. But no, I'm just playing. Not R.I.P. Hillsong.
You still go there?
Yeah, I go to the church. You're right. I go to Hillsong Berlin, which is very different. But anyways,
that's like
As podcast, the next time you have me on, we can get into
funny,
that,
bro. That's how people say, "Oh, my girlfriend is 17, but she's very mature for it." I go to Hillsong, but I go to Hillsong Berlin. It's very different.
It is very different. I will give Hillsong Berlin their flowers. A lot of similar things, but anyways,
Okay,
the Hillsong conversation is for a different day. But
I go there too. Like
you do.
And I'm not trying to. Sorry, it's out of pocket.
It's not out of pocket.
I mean, everyone knows what's going on, but anyways, keep going.
Everybody does know what's going on, and I think this is the hardest thing. And we're gonna segue super quick.
Yeah.
For context, I go to Hillsong. Paul goes to Hillsong, and I serve at Hillsong on a consistent basis with youth and all day on Sundays. Yeah. And so a few days of my week are kind of dedicated to Hillsong as a church.
Yeah.
Well, recently, as we both know, in the news, Hillsong's been making some headlines.
Yeah.
For mismanagement of finances, potential fraud, sexual misconduct, all of these huge allegations, which are very, very big.
And which I don't understand is why this is not being mentioned here. And even the people that serve at Hillsong, I bring this up to them. They're like, "Oh, I have no idea what's going on."
Well, I think two things. I think it's one of those things where if you're not interested in it, if you don't have ears if you're not listening for something, you're not going to listen for it. If you're not looking for something, you're not going to see it. You know what I mean? Like,
fair, yeah.
And I think that something I've noticed with Hillsong in general is even when I was in America, like for example, Brian Houston was the founding pastor of Hillsong.
Yeah, he was.
Former global pastor. When he came to America at Hillsong Conference, which is a giant Christian conference.
Used to be. Things dead now. But used to be a giant Christian conference. And I remember when they did the opener, they had Carl Lentz, R.I.P. Carl Lentz, not R.I.P. R.I.P. Well, he's back in the game now. Did you see that?
Transformation hired him on.
As a strategic manager or something?
Something.
What does that even mean?
I think he's going to be doing leadership stuff. If there's one thing you got to give the guy, he was visionary. He did build a church of 10,000 people, which we could all have different opinions about, but he did get lots of people into the doors and all that kind of stuff. And he was a great communicator.
Yeah.
Like, he did have his problems. Every person does. And
I heard people say he might even come in and, kind of make sure that what happened at Hillsong won't happen at Transformation Church.
Well,
which
the T is he's in the new upcoming documentary about Hillsong.
Oh.
The FX one that's about to drop next month.
And he's exposing things too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah. It's just kind of interesting.
We should do a reaction video to that.
Dude, we could. But anyway, so Brian used to be, because we're going to get into this drama super quick.
Yeah.
But when they brought Brian out in Australia, because I'm talking about how Hillsong Australia is so separated from everything else. When we were in America, they brought out Carl Lentz to open, and everybody stood on their feet, gave him a round of applause, type of thing, as he was the opener. The next day, it's like day 2, and somebody announces and next we'll be hearing from Brian Houston, the global founding pastor of Hillsong Church. Everybody just did golf claps. Who's that? And so I think something I felt even when I was in America is that Hillsong was there still very detached from what was going on in Australia. And I think that's probably what it is here as well. Like, people care, I think, more about their local church or their local religious practice than they do what's going on a global scale, because they can't control what's outside of their environment. And so, I think the people who have to answer to the stuff that's going on there are people in high leadership positions, and they should be aware and be able to ask questions if people have any.
Okay. Well, that was a whole sidetrack.
Yes.
We were meant to talk about the hardships, the ups and downs you're going through over the last 2 years. You mentioned moving from Sydney to Berlin. And then really things started to go down.
Yeah, things started to go downhill. So I originally was planning on getting a freelance visa in October. So I got here in July.
October 2021. 2021, right?
2021, yeah. October 2021.
Right. Feels like ages ago.
It is. So I moved here in July. Went to Norway for a few weeks, came back, and could not land a visa appointment to save my life.
Right.
Now I know it's because Germany does everything by paper, which I don't know why we're still doing things by paper, but their process here is so bad. So I couldn't get a visa appointment. Even got offered a job for me to stay. Somebody had offered me a job.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. And so so that way I could get a visa, but I wasn't able to get an appointment. So after being here, I had an apartment. Everything was starting to fall into place. Got offered jobs. Work was about to start coming in. Couldn't get a visa appointment. They basically tell me there's no chance that you can stay. You have to leave.
Right.
Jump on a plane, and I find out a week before that I'm going to have to do long distance with my girlfriend. So I find out a week before my travel visa's up that I'm not going to be able to stay. So
that's tough.
Super tough. Like, and especially because this was the dream for us. We had been thinking about it, planning for it, stepped into it. Things were starting to come together. I had my apartment. She had her apartment. She was in school. Like, things were starting to come together. We were supposed to be starting this new chapter together.
Yeah.
Door closes. I have to go home, and I'm home for 3 months. So we do 3 months of long distance before my girlfriend comes to visit me for Christmas. And then after that, we did another 3 months.
Okay.
So she was there for a few weeks. We did another 3 months, came back in April, saved up a bunch of money. Now's the time. I'm going to get my visa. Things are going to start coming together.
April 2022.
April 2022.
Okay. I moved here in March 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we met up as soon as I got here, practically.
Yeah.
And from that point on,
that's a year ago. Though.
That's a year ago.
We've been, that's crazy.
We've been kicking it for like a year.
Yeah, we've been kicking it for about a year because in Australia we weren't really.
Nah, we just, hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah. I'd see you in the barbershop, you would come in and leave, but that's about it.
That was really it.
Yeah. Because you were a couple of years ahead of me.
Yeah.
In college. Okay, so, and then you got here.
Couldn't get a visa appointment.
Again.
It took me 4 months to get a visa appointment.
I think we had the appointment in July or something. Yeah.
Yeah, mid-July. So that's, about 3.5 months.
Right.
I had to overstay my visa illegally with some government exemption, but I wasn't allowed to leave Germany.
You weren't allowed to work.
I wasn't allowed to work the whole time. Couldn't take any, no jobs I was allowed to get, not even freelance jobs, not even graphic design. I was only allowed to work from America. But the plan was that I was supposed to be working from April.
Yeah.
Get the visa approved in July. The thing is you got to wait for the card to come in the mail. Takes 8 weeks for the card to get in the mail.
Yeah.
Can't travel for those 8 weeks. I took that risk.
Yeah.
Which was a risk. Can't travel for 8 weeks, and you really have no proof to be able to show people that, okay, like I'm able to work. Come back, and I still need an apartment. Like, I'm crashing at my girlfriend's studio, but I had wanted an apartment for myself. The whole time, everybody was telling me, oh, like, we need to see your visa. We need to see your bank statements. We need to see that you have consistent work. We need to see, like, all these things that I had no proof of because I hadn't gotten them.
Bro, I remember that. That appointment we had at the Einwanderbehörde, the immigration office, dude. Like,
that
me just trying to translate. I was even stressed out. I can't even imagine the stress you were feeling, not even understanding what these dudes were saying.
Dude, I was sitting there like, this is
a ball's hand.
Exactly. Like, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, because on the other side of that interview, if I didn't get approved, it's basically deportation. Like, if you don't get approved, you have to leave. Like, you got denied, so you've got to go home. There's no
dreams over. Just
dreams
snapped out of it.
Yeah. And God came through and like got approved. And,
dude, I remember the house. That was huge.
That was huge. And that was like, I had came on this high. Down for 6 months. My life was not great for 6 months. Then came here and I was like, okay, like, we're starting to get some wind in our sails, you know? And then go to the visa appointment, and I'm like, visa's approved.
Yeah, we were celebrating.
We were celebrating.
Yeah, I remember.
And then, okay, you can't travel. You can't leave the country. You can't get an apartment. You can't get work. Like, everything was just against me. Yeah. And I mean, even to this day.
That's what I was about to say. It's been feeling like that. And it's been since July, since you got that visa approved. And
I've had a few things here and there.
You've had a few like interviews and things that were about to happen. I mean, you do have a place now.
Yes, I do have my own apartment.
Yeah.
And
which I'm not going to complain about.
Which I'm not going to complain about. Like, I've got my own apartment. It's perfect for what I need. You know what I mean? Like, it's right within the budget that I'm looking for. All that kind of stuff. So an apartment came through in September. And I've had a few web design or graphic design projects here and there.
Hire this man, guys. if you need
I do web design and graphic design. If you need something, let me know.
This is also what this is about, man. We're just trying to like give people a platform.
Hey, I appreciate
help people out, help people build their stuff.
Exactly.
You know?
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Hey, man.
And yeah, like it's just been a journey. So I haven't I think the first half of this year I've filled out. I was going through all my emails about submitted applications 2 days ago because I was like, sometimes it's easy to feel like you're not doing enough when nothing's coming through. This year alone, I've submitted 227 applications.
Yeah.
That's freaking ridiculous. I've had maybe 10 interviews.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm an unskilled person.
Like, no.
You know, like
dude, like even in an interview, like you know how to articulate yourself, you know how to communicate, which also some points I want to touch on with you later. But through all this, man, like what kept you saying, dude, today's going to be better than tomorrow? And then like, what do you try to do practically to make today better than yesterday? Sorry, I messed it up. Cool. Yeah.
No, like I think honestly, like I feel like anybody who knows when they've been at rock bottom, it does get better.
You know, like go up,
it can only go up. Like I've seen my worst days. I've seen my bank account in the negatives. Like, so from here it can genuinely only get better. And I think that that it's easy to feel like really down and pity for yourself and all these kind of things. But in the last year, the last 6 months, really kind of owning it. Like I dictate my life. I dictate the way my day is going to look. Now I can't change my situation. I can affect it positively by doing what I can do. Yeah. But if I do all the things I can do, then it's going to be a better day, you know? And so like when I wake up in the mornings now, it's all right. Like today's going to be better than yesterday. So what kind of things can I do to make today a better day? Right. And if that's keeping my head in a positive mind space, like whatever it is, then that's what I'm going to be doing for that day. It's not always applying for 50 jobs in a day because that drains you just as much as anything else, you know? And like,
for real,
so, but yeah, just, I'd say I wake up, I'm positive. I like have my practices that I like to do and do things that make me happy while still trying to be diligent.
Exactly. And that's what I've been like noticing, or that's been like something that's been like standing out to me so much, of you just not going in, because it would be so easy just going into that mindset of saying, oh, everything's against me, you know, no one's trying to hire me, no one's trying to help me out or anything. F this, I'm just packing my bags, leaving, going back to America. And I'm sure you have been close, but just keeping that resilience, keep saying today's going to be better than yesterday. And that takes a lot, man. No, and like not everyone could do that, but it's been like it's been inspiring me to just take ownership over my life, you know, just taking ownership over the small things I can do every day to make today better than yesterday. And that can mean anything, really.
Oh, for sure.
That can mean putting a time limit on your Instagram and stop scrolling once you hit, I don't know how many hours, a certain time, and go out on a walk, start reading, start exercising, all those things.
Yeah. Because the thing is something when I was in Australia, I felt like I was living a life that people dreamed of living. Like I live where like I live where people go to vacation.
I mean, even in Berlin, we do that.
Exactly, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're living in somebody else's dream.
Yeah.
And my situation might not be the best, but I've never had to worry about food to eat.
Yeah.
I've had to stress about how my bills are going to get paid, but I've never had to worry about food to eat and where I'm going to lay my head at night, no matter what. And so it's one of those things where it's like anything above that is abundance. And when I was finally able to come to terms with, okay, like your situation's not great, but you're living in somebody else's dream. What can you do to make your day better? You know, things are going to get better from here. So,
dude, there's something my old pastor always used to say in German. It's a saying, schlimmer geht immer.
Schlimmer geht immer.
Schlimmer geht immer. I just say because in German it kind of rhymes, it flows better, but in English it just means it could always be worse. Like, it could always be worse, man. Like whatever situation you're in, like someone else would be like dreaming of being in that situation. There's this like story or this picture of, you know, this guy on a bike wishing, I would love to have a car. And the guy in the car is seeing like a bigger car. I'd love to be in that car. And then even a bigger car. And then there's one guy who's in a wheelchair and he's like, I wish I could just ride a bike.
Yeah.
You know? all pointing back to the guy on a bike complaining about having to ride his bike, but that could really be someone else's biggest blessing, dude. And like,
it's all mindset.
Yeah, it is all mindset, dude. And I was reminded the other day, man, like, sheesh, that hit me different. I was on my balcony here, and just below the place I'm staying right now is this physio practice, or this physio place where people go to after some injuries or something to get back in shape, right?
For sure.
And I was sitting on the balcony, and I was looking down, and then there was this guy rolling out in a wheelchair, and I guess there's this little bump in front of the door, and then obviously there's the door, and I don't know how you open up a door in a wheelchair and then keep the door open and roll over a dump at the same time, but he did it. And he went through the door by himself without anyone having to hold it open for him.
Oh, sick.
And then he just kind of stood there. Shoot. He didn't stand there.
I didn't even think about it. You made it a bigger deal than it was.
He sat there in the wheelchair, and he looked back at the door, and he was just like, yes.
That's cool.
He was like, I did that, you know? And I was like, that, even talking about it right now, gives me chills. Yeah. Because I was like, dude, like, I walk through a door without even thinking about it every single day. I've done it multiple times today. But this guy, man, for him, it might even be a struggle just getting over a bump through a door because he's in a wheelchair, he's disabled. And that can be something so big for him, which is something I don't even think about. Yeah. So just practicing gratitude and practicing the things that we are so easily taking for granted. And so easily don't even think about could be someone else's greatest blessing.
Oh, for sure.
And then he went into the elevator, and he went all the way up to the 6th floor, and he looked over, because from there you can see like the TV tower, and you kind of can see the whole city. And I just imagine him going up there. He's like, wow, looking over the whole city. Yeah. And then he went down and
like, went about his day.
And I was like, dude, you don't even know, like, that made my day, like that. Yeah.
Because that's inspiring.
That's inspiring. And I was like, dude, like,
it's all perspective.
That guy has, ambitions. He wants to grow. He wants to, become more independent about his day. And those things are huge steps for him, which we don't even think about. And then you can go into like putting us into the shoes of someone else who isn't as fortunate as we are. And we might not even be in like a great spot, but like just looking and checking our privilege. That sounds like a very woke term, but like we are privileged,
Yeah, me and my sister were having this conversation the other day. Everybody in some way, shape, or form is privileged.
Oh yeah.
Everybody.
Oh yeah.
There's no way of escaping it. And like, even things that we don't necessarily view as privilege, they are. And everybody has some form of privilege over somebody else. Some of them just happen to be systemic. Some of them have to be positional. Some of them happen not by our own volition, but we are all privileged. And in certain ways, we should be grateful for it.
Yeah. And you can't really be blamed for it. I mean, you didn't choose to be black. I didn't choose to be white. Like it's
I think it's the whole thing of like how you, and this is what anybody I think who is especially like leaning more towards being woke, like not just being woke, but like it's all about addressing your privilege and seeing how it affects other people and doing what you can do about it. Like, that's all it is. That's all it is. Interesting.
Dude, now we just covered a lot, and I did really like that part of things. We didn't also mention Hillsong College earlier, and we talked about this in our first conversation. We went on a bit about what our greatest learnings were from college, and one question I did want to ask you, besides that though, is would you recommend people going to Hillsong College?
So,
because I feel like a lot of people are interested in that.
Yeah. Are a lot of people are interested in Hillsong College?
No, not just Hillsong College, but
what people have to say about it post. Yeah, so when I first got there, I would have said every single person should come here. Because the environment, the community, everything about it for me was exactly what I was looking for. So I thought that it was for every single person. After spending some time there, I'd say that it's actually only for a certain type of person who's looking for a certain type of thing. So I do think that it's great I think that, yeah, I would recommend it, but only for a specific type of person. I would not recommend it for everybody anymore.
No,
that's the short answer.
What's the specific type of person?
I'd say so if you want to learn how to do church leadership, and you've committed your life to doing that, or I mean, committed your life's a big thing, but it's easy when you're a young person who's Christian, who feels the call of God in their life, which you should, like run with your passion, run with your call. But if you feel like you 100% want to do ministry and you already have good biblical understanding, but you want to learn how to build ministry, lead teams, XYZ, go to Hillsong College.
Yeah. I agree with that point. Yeah. You already have good biblical understanding.
Exactly.
Because that might not be the primary focus there.
Well, it's not the primary focus there. Like, you're going to Bible college, but it is a leadership college. That's what they tell you, though, as well. And actually, they don't even advertise it as Bible college. I went back to look at the 2019 ad that I had saw, and it's Hillsong College Leadership College.
Yeah.
It's not even Bible college, but like,
they had me fooled with that though.
But like, seriously though, like,
but you can't blame them. You really can't.
No, I mean,
I just had wrong expectations. I talked to people about this before, where I went in thinking, I'm going to be learning full on theology, and we did have some good theology
Calvinism,
classes.
Armenia,
we did cover those subjects, those basic theology questions, pillars in different classes, but
nothing in depth.
Did not go in depth as much as I wanted to. So I would probably agree. I would probably say the same thing. And if I recommend everyone leaving your hometown,
move away from home,
move into a big city, move into across the world.
Absolutely. You learn more about yourself.
Yeah. And touching that again now, maybe even besides college, this would probably be a more interesting question anyways. Moving away from home, moving to Berlin, moving to Sydney, what has that taught you over the last couple of years?
Yeah. I think moving around the world now, this is my second time doing it, right? That's what you would call it, second time. This is my second time moving across the world. And I mean, I've moved away from home before, but the thing that I've just learned through all of it is you really have to know who you are. Okay. Because if you don't know who you are, you'll get tossed in the wind from place to place.
Let me ask you this, who are you?
Yeah, like I'm Greg Jones.
Okay.
I'm a leader. I'm not a follower. I know that
that was a huge topic in the first one.
That was a huge topic in the first one.
We might actually have to put that in here.
Yeah. We might have to clip that. Yeah. But like, I'm a leader. I'm not a follower. I'm a person of integrity. I'm a person who is sociable, who has the ability to win people over and make friends easily and build connections and help establish community. I know that those are the things that I'm good at.
Yeah.
I know that I can help bring a leadership perspective that may be counter to what else is going on in the environment, that can be good, but can also be detrimental. I know that sometimes I have a loud mouth and I'm the loudest person in the room, which isn't always a good thing. Like, I know that, like, I know things about myself now, I know who I am. I know what kind of things, I know what good habits I have. I know what bad habits I have. And I know everybody around me knows that, but I can walk into a room confident and I don't have to change myself anywhere.
Okay. Would you say you've known all these things about you? Obviously, probably not before moving to Sydney, because you were saying if you move, you'll be tossed in the wind. Did that happen to you where you were tossed in the wind and later on you realized, oh shoot, I'm actually a follower. I'm not. I'm actually a leader. I'm not a follower.
Yeah. I'd say that I kind of knew who I was. I think that when I also had a really good support network from people who knew me from when I was back home, who spoke tons of life into me that I still was in contact with when I was in Australia. But I think natural human nature, it's not necessarily to follow, but it's to assimilate, to not look too different.
Yeah.
And so I think when I first moved to Australia, I did a whole lot of assimilation. After being there for 6 months to a year, I realized, okay, wait, like there's all this stuff that I've kind of added on to myself in terms of learning and growing and assimilating, but let's cut off all the stuff that's not like me. That's not good. And it's the whole thing that I remember, like I used to have this prayer when I was in college, like, God, refine my heart, trim the fat off my heart. And I wanted that in my personal life as well. Like, let me go ahead and allow God, and like through personal reflection, let me cut off the stuff that isn't good. Let's get down to the leanness of who Greg is.
Okay.
And so with that, I kept the stuff that I needed to keep, and I let go of stuff that wasn't good for me.
What were some of the things you had to let go of?
Yeah, I'd say when I was, and I still kind of struggle with this today. In Australia, I became a yes person. I had already been a yes person before I went. So I said yes to every single thing, no matter what. And the thing that I really learned in saying yes so much, by not saying no, you're allowing for too much in your life. And so I didn't have that ability to be able to bless my yes and bless my no, because when I just gave myself away on all my yeses, like it began to feel more task oriented. Like I just felt like I was in the hands of other people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And when I learned how to say no and practice saying no and started putting up that boundary in my life, I started to change as well. I started to grow, because I knew that when I said no to something, it actually gave me the space to say yes to the right things.
Yeah, dude.
And allow it to be more.
So many people need to hear that, and people need to learn that too. Like, I have some really close friends who I tell all the time, like, you just start saying no to things.
Dude,
you can't
hard.
keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to be burned out in no matter what. And I feel like in a certain season of your life, it's good to say yes to a lot of things.
Growth seasons.
Dude, to get a whole bunch of experience. I'm saying yes to a lot of things right now because I just want to learn a couple different things, experience myself.
Experience yourself. Hey.
No, but like, dude, you guys know what I meant. Experience around a bit with
but yeah, you're trying to experience things.
Work-wise, professionally, also like workouts that I do or stuff like that. Just like,
sorry, bro, I got those chills.
Dude, I completely lost my train of thought now. But what I was trying to say is, in some seasons, it's good to say yes, because you never know where that yes is leading you to. Because you might pick something up and you realize, oh, this is the greatest passion of my life, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. If I would have said no to that in the beginning, I would have never found that out.
Facts.
But I also feel like sometimes you're in seasons of your life where you have so much going on already. You already said yes to a couple crucial things where, for example, you have a couple major things in your life, like studies, church, and like some workout or like sports commitment or something. Then you should not be in a place where you say yes to 10 other things, because you can't balance so many dishes at the same time. So question, or did you want to say something?
I actually had a question for you though. Okay, so what, and this is something like I just want your opinion on. Okay. How do you base what to say yes and no to? Right? Like if you're...
That would be my next question. Like what helps you to say no to things too?
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of the same question of what do you base your yes and no to? I have a couple key areas in my life right now that I want to grow in. And this is based on Ruslan. He always says this, like, as a man, there are 3 areas in your life that you should focus on.
What are they?
Priest, or like your personal priesthood, which is like your spiritual being.
For sure.
Then protector and provider.
Okay.
If you want to be a good father, a good husband, a good brother, a good friend to your community, focus on these 3 things. Because I've been thinking about this a lot, and there are other people or other like mentors, coaches or whatnot who have a whole bunch of more like spheres of life that you should focus on. But putting it down to 3 has helped me a lot, because I can kind of put everything into one of those categories. Protector has a lot to do with your emotional being also, but also your physical being, because
for sure.
And I like this quote, blame him or not, Andrew Tate said that a strong mind always lives in a strong body.
That's not an Andrew Tate quote. Fun fact.
Whose quote is that?
That Andrew Tate did say that.
Well, I heard him say that.
Yeah, but that's not from him. But anyways.
Okay, it might not be from him, and that's just proving the point that it's probably true.
Well, in 1 Timothy, I think 1 Timothy 6, it says, never mind. It was actually going to be.
I was like, wait a second.
No. It was, but it was like it coincides, but not exactly. So I'm not going to share it anymore.
Well, I guess the principle is present in the Bible.
Absolutely.
Where, David, about, what do you say?
No, David had physically executed the thing so that way when he went to face Goliath, he had the mental capability to not shrink in fear to Goliath.
Okay.
He had been physically working through all of the things in terms of being a shepherd, lifting, leading, all these different things, building a strong mind.
And I feel like all the characters in the Bible, they must have been physically fit. Because if you see how much they were walking around, they were always carrying their tents, they were always carrying all kinds of things. They must have been way more physically fit than we are today. And all they were eating was... Probably. But how many Bible characters? I mean, okay.
Solomon. David
didn't start off as that.
Yeah, true.
But I'm talking about the disciples. Sure. I'm talking about Jesus. I'm talking about Moses, Abraham. Lean. They were probably lean.
They weren't ripped.
I mean, sometimes you see these statues and you're like, dude, did he really have a six-pack like that?
Dude, for real. What's funny is never mind. We gotta get off topic.
But what I was trying to say, a strong mind lives in a strong body, so that all falls into the category of protector, and then provider also has a lot to do with your emotional state of being able to provide guidance to the people around you, being able to provide leadership, but also being able to provide financially, which is obviously another big sphere of life, which you can't really dismiss or you can't really be blind to. So having all those said, I'm just trying to get back to what I was saying. Yeah, so those are the three areas in my life that I'm focusing on right now.
And that's what allows you to say yes or no.
That's what allows me to say yes or no to things. If something doesn't really fall into that category or doesn't really align with that, it's easier for me to say, okay, let's talk about if I sign up for, jiu-jitsu, signing up for jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu has probably led me to, let me paraphrase this or say this again. Having this mindset has probably led me to signing up for jiu-jitsu because I realized, okay,
you want to get physically,
I want to get physically more fit, but it also helps me mentally. It humbled me a lot, this process of learning jiu-jitsu over the past 6 months.
You realize you're not the shit.
Dude, because growing up, man, I was always the tallest. I was always, out there, and no one would ever really try to challenge me on some shit. And, so I was never really confronted like that. So thinking now, what would I even do if I was to get in a situation like that? And who knows, shit might go down, and you hope not for it, but you better be prepared for it.
Yeah, facts.
So going to jiu-jitsu, man, I remember the first class I was there, dude, far out. There was this one guy, he's probably 5'8" or something, 5'9", 160, 170 pounds. Smoked me, dude. Submitted me. Real Nate choked my ass, had me tapping. I'm like, oh, get me out of here, because he just knows what he's doing. And
because fighting isn't always about strength.
No, it's not.
That's what I learned during wrestling, because I wrestled for a bit.
No freaking way.
Before I played football in high school. So I wrestled and
I did not know that. That's interesting, bro. You should come join, man.
Dude, I actually have been thinking about it.
You should come join.
It's just financially, it's not within I can't say yes to that currently.
Okay.
Well, I have to say no. So
that's another example of, okay, if as the provider financially, I need to be a good steward, I need to make financially wise decisions. I would love to do this, but I can because of that.
For sure.
You shouldn't commit yourself financially to something that you can, because then you wouldn't be a wise steward. So having this framework of these three areas of life, which I'm kind of balancing everything out or making the decisions, especially big decisions in my life, like taking on a new job or starting this side project now with the podcast, is really,
me saying, okay, I want to grow.
For sure.
I want to grow in these areas. I want to share my knowledge. I want to learn from other people who are further in any of these 3 areas, so that I can grow in that and share that with other people. So that has really helped me saying yes and no to things, because I'm realizing, okay, if it doesn't really fall into these 3 areas and those are the 3 priorities in my life right now, then it might not be worth pursuing. What about you though? What helped you say no to things? Because you said you used to be a yes person. You used to say yes all the time to everything.
I think for me, like what's helping me currently say yes and no to certain things is I think about my future, what I want, what my goals are.
Yeah.
Of course, like spiritually, physically, and I'd say emotionally as well. Like those are, so the direction in which I'm headed in those areas helps me to say yes or no to certain things. It also helps me to not allow certain thought processes or focus on things too much. Does that make sense? And so, I'd say like, okay, like this is the direction I'm heading. If this doesn't align with that direction, then I can't do it. And so, for example, I had a job interview that somebody wanted to do with me on Sunday at noon.
Yeah.
And this is a good job.
Yeah.
I hope that I get this job and we've worked something out. We're meeting up Wednesday at 10.
Yeah.
But when they asked me to do Sunday at noon, part of me wanted to say yes because I really need a job. Mm-hmm. But if I value what I do on Sundays, which I do to the max,
which is church.
Yeah. So I do church on Sundays. I serve and I volunteer and I go to church for myself, But if something is going to come in the way of that, then it's a no. As great as the opportunity would be, and some people would call me dumb for that. Mm-hmm. But if this is what I believe in, this is what I'm practicing, this is where I'm headed, then because I've said yes to this, I have to say no to the job interview at 12 on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole idea of like, when you say no, you're able to actually bless your yeses. And if you think about your yeses, it makes it easier to bless your nos. And so I told them no, and they rescheduled. They were like, all right, well, awesome. Let's do Wednesday coffee in person instead of a Zoom call. Works out better, even better. But yeah, that's how I gauge it.
Interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're saying blessing your yeses, blessing your nos. Those are all, very, very important things for a lot of people to learn and for us to grow in, and for me as well, because there's still a lot of dumb shit that I do that doesn't fall into those 3 categories. Let me be honest.
Funny,
I can say, this is, but generally speaking, this is what I'm trying to do. Obviously, not all the time.
It's like, even really quick, let's stay on this whole topic of like yeses and nos. Mm-hmm. How do you make your decisions? All that kind of stuff. What I think is, what I've been noticing about myself lately is I know what I'm going to say no to, and I know what I'm going to say yes to in terms of big things, social things, financial things. But even some thought processes, I'm like, okay, no. But what's crazy is the amount of things that you're not supposed to do that you say yes to in your private life or in your mind. And I've been really trying to get that under control lately. And like this morning I woke up and I was like, okay, like
that's a big one.
Up, I think it was like 4 a.m, and my mind was just stirring. And I was like, okay, like I'm not doing this anymore. Like
it's the full moon outside, bro.
Dude, it's gotta be turning me into, but like for real, like, and I said, okay, like I'm not gonna do this. That I have this habit. This habit's gone. Mm-hmm. Done. Decided this at 4 a.m. 9 a.m. came
what
around.
What happens at 4 a.m. stays at 4 a.m.
Right? Like, but it wasn't even like I just woke up and I was thinking this.
Hey,
and
on
then
a
I went
real
back to
note,
sleep.
though, bro. Like,
yeah.
It's a real thing a lot of guys struggle with.
Dude, I'm not even talking about masturbation. That's actually so funny. We can talk about that on a different pod, but definitely was not talking about choking the chicken, if you will.
Bro, what else would you be doing? I thought that you mentioned this whole start because. Okay.
No.
Something else.
Something completely different.
Okay.
It just has to do with
I'm glad we clarified because everyone else would have been thinking the same.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically like a negative mindset that I have.
Okay.
Like I'm a positive guy, but when I get negative, it's like, that's it.
All hell breaks loose. Yeah.
It's not even like all hell breaks loose, but there's no coming back.
Really? Okay.
Like for people or for the situation, it's just like, doom.
Cutting people off, yeah?
like cutting people off, or even like taking them from this is where you were in my head and now you're here.
Dude, I do that too, though.
It's kind of foul. We shouldn't do it.
We should forgive all the time,
more.
Bro. I was even doing that to you last week when you never answered my calls.
I had no service.
Oh, dude.
Even today, my phone's acting up.
Hey, let me tell y'all, this man was gone for 10 days.
Yeah, I was in
Sent
London.
me one text, bro. I was calling every day. Dude, did I tell you this? I was literally...
You were lonely.
Well, that too, thanks. No, but I was this close to texting Julie. I was like, yo, I haven't heard anything from Greg. Like, he told me before heading out that he would reach out, tell me how things going.
Absolutely.
And I'm just worried, like, are y'all all right? And then I had heard from other people that y'all missed y'all's flight and shit. And I was like,
who'd you hear that from?
well,
oh yeah, the person I texted about business stuff.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, dude, are they all right? Are they stranded somewhere in London or something? Because I just hadn't heard anything. But thank God he got back.
I got back, bro. It was a good trip, though.
But
anyways.
It is so true, though. Like, and I do that all the time where I just, like, in my mind, cut people off over the smallest things. I'm like, all right, bro. Cool.
Gone. Just like that.
Just today, I did that to someone else. I was like,
really?
Kind of. Like, mentally, I did. I mean, I'll see where it goes, but like, dude,
it's easy to do.
And it's like, and especially when like you try to make plans with people and then like people dip. But I dip on people too sometimes. You know?
For sure.
So like, if I want to...
No, I know who you're talking about.
No. Shoot, expose myself here. Well, no, but like, I'm saying like if I want people to have grace with me, as I know that I'm a flawed person trying to grow, then we should extend that same grace to other people.
Dude, and it's so hard to do. Like,
it is so hard because I'm holding people up to a too high of a standard where obviously, and they don't even know about that standard, and then they can't meet any expectations that I've never communicated. It's a whole thing. Yeah. Managing expectations, managing, especially in friendships, relationships. How do you do that in your relationship?
Dude.
Managing expectations. I mean, I'm sure
that face wipe says everything. No, dude, I just like, in my relationship, I just realized, man, I just got to enjoy this. Like, I just got
okay.
Like, I know that sounds weird. Like, how do I manage the expectations? But it's like, I've really, in the last year, realized like the only expectations that we can have for each other are on things that we talk about. And if I'm thinking something, let's just talk about it.
Okay.
Like, I try not to have expectations outside of things. Excuse me, y'all. I try.
You want some more water?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I try not to have expectations about things that we have not talked about. So, like, for example, one of the expectations that Julie and I have based off of a conversation that we've had is that we don't have...
That we've had?
No, me and Julie have had. Is we don't have friends of the opposite sex. Like, we do have acquaintances, but I'm not hanging out with a girl one-on-one. She's not hanging out with a guy one-on-one.
Which, respectfully, should be the way to go.
You know what I mean? So if Julie ever hung out with somebody one-on-one, that's not meeting the mutual expectation that we've already had. You know, like, if it's for business, guys, I'm not controlling. If it's for business or church or something of that nature, like, by all means. But if Julie just one day told me, hey, like, I'm gonna go out for drinks with my coworker.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's your coworker? You know what I mean? Like, bleep. Who the beep is your coworker? Like, I don't.
Well, what about that other close friend of you guys?
Other close friend of ours.
Well, that we also know from college. I mean,
oh, you're talking about my friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still my friend.
No, but I'm saying Julie and him will hang out a lot.
Julie and who? Now you can just say names.
Thomas.
Oh, Julie and Thomas. Okay.
You trust Thomas like that?
There's certain people that I trust with my life. I wouldn't say trust with my life, but I do trust Thomas to the fullest extent that I can trust somebody. And so I have no problem with him and Julie hanging out.
Okay.
I don't feel
just
threatened
clarify
by
that there are exceptions to the rule.
For sure.
So
there's
always
exceptions to the rule because Thomas is somebody who I knew prior and she knew prior.
Yeah.
Me and Thomas lived together for a year. her and Thomas had a relationship, like not a relationship,
friendship.
They had a friendship prior, and when I was here in Berlin, we all three of us were hanging out here a lot together. When I left, I asked Thomas, "Hey, look out for Julie while she's here," and he did, and so I had no problem. You know what I mean? Like, respectfully.
And that is
I only
something.
have 2 other friends that I'd allow that with.
Who are?
Tanner Tinsley, and Rahul Gill. Only 2 other people I'd be like, yeah. But Julie would never. Julie's not ever like, oh, hey babe, can I go hang out with Tanner? That's not happening. Like, or hey babe, can I go hang out with Rahul?
Super awkward or weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is good that you guys communicated those expectations, and that there are exceptions to the rule, which is clear. But then
that we
also
mutually agree on, right?
Yeah, that you mutually agree on, and it always also depends on the person who the other one might be wanting to hang out. Because I mean, some girls also be naive about like. And like we as guys can clearly tell, oh, this guy is into you, babe. Like,
this guy's trying to pull up,
you know.
He's trying to pull up for sure.
And, him trying to hang out with you and you allowing that's disrespectful to me as your partner. You know what I mean? Like,
especially if you guys have talked about it. It could be seen as disrespectful.
Especially if you guys talk like, no, we're just friends. I'm sure. Like, nah, trust. You know.
Yeah, and it also depends on if it's rooted in insecurity, how long they knew each other, all these kind of things. But guys do the same thing. I cannot tell when a girl's flirting with me, but Julie and I will get home and she'll be like, she was flirting with you. And I'll be like, no, she was not. She'll tell me the behaviors, and this isn't in regards to anything, but she'll tell me the behaviors and I'll be like, I don't see it. But if you tell me, then I got to trust your eye, you know? Because I know when a dude looks at Julie. I can tell, you know? So she's feeling something. She's feeling it. But anyways, let's move on.
Fair enough.
Let's move on. So, bro, I want to ask, for everybody listening, you can clip this however you want to. Mm-hmm. What's the goal of the podcast?
The goal of the podcast, dude. Shoot. The goal of the podcast is still to be defined, as the name of this podcast is still to be defined. I mean, I was running this joke of calling this the Paul's Ping Pong Podcast because we sit at a ping pong table. And I want this to go back and forth like a ping pong match. Yeah. Like conversations, not just me having to interview someone, but conversation where both people can learn from and grow from. But and that also is one of the main goals, to just bring people on, open friends, dialogue. People that I already know, people that I might not yet know as much. Open monologue, talk about whatever. I will bring whoever on. I'll bring people on
that you're interested in.
Yeah, that I'm interested in. People that I also might not be disagreeing with or have completely different outlooks on life. Learn from different people, different perspectives. And then ultimately just build a cool community of people who are like-minded, people who want to grow, people who just want to escape the matrix. Nah, bro.
Guys, well, thank you so much for joining Paul's Ping Pong Podcast. We're gonna go.
Oh, dude, I'm playing. Nah, but one thing though that, and I also did mention to you this the other night. I was listening to Naval
Ravikant.
Yeah.
On which one? Joe Rogan's?
Joe Rogan, I was listening to his personal ones, and
dude, great guy.
He is a great guy, and he was saying there are these 4 types of different leverages, and we went through this the other night, but just for the audience. And he was saying the first one is capital. You can start with that. The first one is capital, using money for your advantage, to leverage, to have money work for you to make more money.
And that you could use that capital for investment, whatever it is.
Yeah. So all these leverages, he was always talking about in a way of growing financially, making and growing in wealth.
Should you quickly explain leverage for people who may not understand? Because
that's what I was trying to do. So he was saying that different 4 types of leverages you can use to grow your own wealth or financial status.
And by leverage, it basically means tools.
Tools, things that can work for you while you not have to work on it.
Yes.
And that really had me say, okay, I got to quit barbering, because as a barber, you don't have much leverage, because you can only really
cut as many people as you can cut or as you can fit in a day. So there isn't much of a lever that you can pull to make more out of it. While as with the, for example, and this is going to get more clear as we go through them, capital, you can invest into a business and then that business is running and that will bring you in more over time. Then another one is labor. You can use other people's time. You can hire other people to fulfill the service, to run your business, and then bring back profit back to you. Third one being code, which I don't know anything about. You can code a software, you can program it, put it out for sale, and that thing will sell if it's good, if it's useful, if it's valuable. Even after you finish the product, and it will just be up.
Yeah, and I'm going to add something to what he was saying about code was that because of the age that we live in, code is needed pretty much for everything that we use to advance ourselves. Every app, every program, anything on the internet has some form of code. Even the website you're looking at has HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all these different layers of things in it. And that's why code is a good leverage, because different code enables different things to do different things.
Exactly.
And if you can write code, you've got high leverage.
And it's a useful skill.
Yeah.
And the last one being media content, which is what we're creating right now.
Yeah.
Which is also what I used to do in the past, which I really enjoyed and which I realized I do have a natural gift, natural talent, call it whatever, in communicating, talking to people, recording videos like these on podcasts, because I've done it in the past and it used to be pretty, I don't know, call it successful, but it used to reach a lot of people. So I figure if I can get this up and running again, and I don't have any crazy expectations or anything, but
you never know what could happen.
You never know what can happen, and you just got to put yourself out there in a situation where something great could happen. You know, so I want to create content again, because I feel like it's just smart to do. Putting yourself out there, exposing yourself to the world. Literally anyone can see this who has an internet connection, and anyone can reach out to us who might want to do business with us, who might want to become our friend. Who, some of the best friends I have, I met online. I don't know. I mean, I met some great people online. So you never know what can happen, and that's really the whole gist of me wanting to put this out there and bring cool people on. If you have any ideas on who should be on this, who I should be talking to,
all local based, has to be in person for now, right?
I want to have it in person. I don't want to do any stupid Zoom calls or anything. I mean, if it is like LeBron James that's on the Zoom call, I would do that. Besides the king, dude, Akron,
I might have to become young Jamie for Paul's Ping Pong Podcast.
And this is what I wanted to pitch to you, and this is something my brother was talking about. He really liked you communicating, talking, and that is a great gift of yours as well, where, I mean, I could bring on guests every now and then, but also do like follow-ups with you like every month or so, or every third or fourth episode or something, you know, where
that'd be fun.
We could just do an update or talk about, because we always talk anyways. We always chat. We always, you know, discuss things. And then we could just, okay, Paul, I have this topic I want to discuss. Let's bring it on the podcast. And we could even invite other people who discuss it with us on the podcast. I mean, this table is big enough for someone can sit here.
At least four. And once we get the iPhone setups, we'll be able to get single shots of anybody who's out of frame.
And that's what we're trying to do. I know this isn't a perfect setup yet. I know there might be some audio issues here and there. I hope it all went smooth. It already is a lot better than the first one we did.
The first one we did, the first one just on the computer microphone.
Some investment, but I hope it will be worth it. I mean, it already was. This was a great conversation.
What do you say if I get you a guest?
Who is it?
I don't know. Like, I think something I've been thinking of is I want to, in general, just help connect people. So maybe I'll just try to find like somebody, dude, a startup owner, something like that. Dude, that'd be sick.
That'd be sick. Do it.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to have people on that I somewhat know, or that I somewhat like, oh, this cool guy. I want to talk to that guy. But if you can introduce me to someone and I get that feeling or that vibe, then for sure, bro, I'll be down for it all the time.
Dope.
And yeah, we're just about a bit over now. I think this is good for now. There were still, dude, I'm looking at my notes right now. Shoot, there were so many more things I want to touch on.
For real.
We did have some great points, though. The resilience we talked about, your relationship
also,
we talked about.
If you know how to clip videos, if you're a video editor, please reach out to Paul.
Yeah, reach out to me.
Short form clips.
Yeah, if you know how to edit podcasts, if you know how to use long form content and chop it up into short form content for Instagram, TikTok, Reels,
for sure.
Shorts,
lower thirds, captions, all that kind of stuff.
Ideally German and English speaking, and I'm looking to work with someone long term because I'm trying to do this thing for real. Mm-hmm. And dude, you don't even need to know how to do all this thing. You don't even need to have Premiere. I mean, it would be beneficial if you do, but I could give you access and I can train you up. I used to do this for other people where I just chop up their talks and podcasts into shorter videos. So I can teach you for real, and that'd be a great skill for you to learn too. So
absolutely,
reach out. Just looking for someone young, ambitious, someone's trying to grow, build their skills. I think this is a good way to end it up. Any last thoughts, Greg?
Only last thought is, dude, this wall's kind of empty.
It is empty.
I think that there's got to be somebody listening, maybe not to this one now, but down the line who might be able to make you something for the wall. A little art piece or something, unless you want to clean.
I was thinking put my own art piece on there.
Oh, really? Oh, true. You're an artist. Let's see it. Let's see it. Come on, bro. Grab it. It's right here. It's barely out of frame.
Oh, wait.
This is sick. I want to see this.
Dude, I made another one for my friend.
Okay.
For my friend's birthday. That one turned out even better.
Did you take a picture of it?
So I was saying I made a. This is way too far away. I made
it in front of the camera.
I made another one for my friend Calvi Wavy, who I want to bring on the pod as well.
Sick.
For his birthday, and he was super happy about it. So we might just leave this here for now, eh?
Dude, this is dope. Dude, you should actually just do this on the wall.
But what if we get a big flat screen there and then we can pull up things?
Dude, we could. We actually could. That's what I'm saying. Let me be your young Jamie.
Young Jamie.
I'll sit over here. I feel like I'm good with people, so I can help you write questions, all that kind of stuff.
Dude, I'm just glad people can't see behind the camera because far out. If I'm trying to have people over here that I don't know like close, I'm like, dude, shoot, like.
We might have to put up a curtain across. That way it's closed off.
Like at least like curtain off my bed and then just pop everything on there. But
anyways, thanks so much for having me, bro.
Dude, thanks for being on here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what this turns out to be and looking forward to any conversations that we get to have. Like it's always a good time, and
it always is a good time.
Thanks, bro.
We're gonna go to Späti, have a beer, guys. Hit me up if you're in Berlin. We're gonna have a talk. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.